The reception hall was empty when I walked in with my wedding veil still in a plastic garment bag. No flowers. No candles. No place cards. Just bare tables, stacked chairs, and my mother standing under the chandelier with a cream-colored folder in her hands. The venue manager stood beside her, pale and silent, holding a tablet. My sister Marissa leaned against the welcome table with that little smile she used when someone else was about to get blamed. My mother opened the folder and slid a paper across the empty head table. It was not a wedding contract. It was a transfer agreement for my grandmother's apartment. "Sign it," she said in front of my aunts, my fiancé's parents, and two confused staff members. "After what you've done, this is the least you can do to repair the family name. This wedding was a farce anyway." Marissa laughed softly. "A girl who steals her own wedding money doesn't deserve white flowers." My fiancé, Daniel, was still on his way because my mother had told him I was unstable and needed family first. I looked at the transfer form. Then I looked at the venue manager's tablet, still open on a cancellation screen. "I'm not signing away Grandma's apartment," I said. That was the first time my mother's face changed. Not much. Just enough. Like she had expected tears, not a sentence. The strange part was that the venue manager would not look at me. She kept looking down at her tablet, then at my mother, then back at the empty room. At the time, I thought she was ashamed of me. Later, I understood she was afraid to interrupt. By the time I reached the venue that Friday afternoon, my mother's version of the story had already gone through both families. According to her, I had lied to Daniel, drained the wedding money, and forced everyone into a humiliating situation. She said she had canceled the ceremony to protect Daniel's family from finding out in public. She told my relatives I had been using the wedding account for personal debts. She told Daniel's mother I had been hiding a private situation with another man. That phrase did the most damage. A private situation. It made people quiet around me. It made them look at me like asking for details would be cruel. My aunt would not meet my eyes. Daniel's mother clutched her purse strap with both hands. My mother wore navy, not black, because she wanted everyone to see she was not grieving the wedding. She was managing it. I spoke to the florist, the band, the makeup team, and the officiant, Mom said. "Everything is canceled. The hotel rooms are being released. I did what you were too selfish to do. You canceled my wedding," I said. "I saved us from humiliation." Marissa clicked her tongue. "Don't twist it. Mom had to clean up your mess again." I wanted to defend myself. I wanted to pull out my banking app and show every deposit, every vendor payment, every boring normal wedding expense. But there were too many people watching me like one wrong word would prove I was exactly what my mother had called me. So I stopped explaining. I picked up the transfer agreement. My grandmother's apartment, Unit 4B, the one she left to me when she died. The one my mother had always called too much for one girl. The one Marissa had lived in after her divorce until I changed the locks, because she let her ex use it without asking me. My grandmother left me that apartment with a handwritten card that said, "You need one door in this world that no one else can open." My mother hated that card. She said family should not need boundaries. She said property should stay flexible because needs change. By needs, she meant Marissa's needs. Marissa was the fragile one in our family. She had failed marriages, emergencies, unpaid bills, and long explanations that always ended with someone else taking responsibility. I was the dependable one. That sounds like praise until everyone starts treating your life like a storage room for other people's problems. When Daniel and I got engaged, Mom seemed excited at first. She offered to help with calls because she was retired and good with vendors. Daniel and I were paying for the wedding ourselves. His parents were covering the rehearsal dinner, but the ceremony and reception came from our savings. Still, Mom called it our family wedding. Then the comments started. "It seems wasteful to spend this much on one day when Marissa is starting over. Grandma would have wanted both girls secure. You already have Daniel. Why do you need the apartment too?" I told her once, clearly, that the apartment was not part of the wedding and not part of Marissa's divorce. She stared at me like I had slapped her. "You sound just like your grandmother," she said. I took it as a compliment. She did not mean it as one. The week before the wedding, small things began to feel off. The florist emailed Daniel instead of me, asking if we still wanted the adjusted plan. My makeup artist texted to confirm I was keeping my appointment. The band manager sent a weird message saying he hoped everything worked out. I asked Mom if she had been calling vendors. She sighed and said, "Stop micromanaging. You're making everyone nervous." I let it go because the week before a wedding makes you feel like everyone is tired of you. I did not want to be the dramatic bride. That was my mistake. The morning everything collapsed, I was steaming my veil when my cousin Leah texted me. "Are you okay?" Then another message came. "I don't know what happened, but your mom is telling people the wedding is off because you misused the money. Please tell me that's not true." I called my mother. No answer. I called Marissa. She declined and texted, "Come to the venue before you make this worse." My phone started buzzing with messages from relatives telling me to be honest, to stop hurting my mother, to think of Daniel. Then Daniel called. "Where are you?" he asked. "On my way to the venue." "Did my mother call you?" "She called my mom," he said. "She told her you admitted to using the wedding account for something else and wanted to cancel before I found out." My throat closed. "Daniel, that's not true." "I know," he said immediately. "I almost missed a turn. You know? I checked the account this morning to pay the photographer. Nothing is missing. I'm on my way. Do not sign anything." Those 4 words kept me upright. Do not sign anything. When I arrived and saw the empty hall, the cancellation tablet, and the apartment transfer agreement waiting for me, I understood. This was never about wedding money. The wedding was the weapon. The apartment was the target. After I refused to sign, my mother pushed the paper closer. "No remorse," she said to the room. "No accountability. Just greed." Marissa stepped forward, softening her voice. She always sounded gentlest right before she cut deepest. "Nobody wants your apartment because we're jealous," she said. "But I lost my home. You're starting a new life. Why do you need 2 places?" "Because one was left to me," I said. "By a woman who didn't know how cold you would become." That hurt. She knew it would. Then my mother opened the folder again and pulled out a printed screenshot of a bank transfer from my checking account to a man named Evan Cole. "Langten Mayuan. This is where some of the missing money went," she said. "She can explain why she was sending wedding funds to a man none of us know." I stared at the paper. Then I laughed once. Not because it was funny. Because Evan Cole was our photographer. His company name was Cole and Frame. His legal name was Evan Cole. Daniel and I had paid him together. My mother had cropped a normal vendor payment and turned it into an affair. That was when Daniel walked in with his father. He did not run or shout. He walked to my side and looked at the screenshot in my mother's hand. "That's our photographer," he said. The room went silent. Daniel's mother turned to my mother. "You told me that was another man." Mom stiffened. It was suspicious. Any mother would question it. "No," Daniel said. Any mother would ask her daughter before canceling her wedding. Marissa snapped. "Don't let her make this about one screenshot." She refused to let Mom see the account. She changed the locks on the apartment. She has been hoarding what Grandma left like nobody else matters. There it was again. The apartment. I turned to the venue manager. Her name tag said Melissa. "Can I ask you something?" I said. She nodded quickly. "Who canceled the reception?" Mom interrupted. "I did. As her mother. Under emergency circumstances." I kept looking at Melissa. "Did the cancellation come from my email or Daniel's email?" Melissa swallowed. "No," Mom said. "That is not relevant." Melissa looked at Daniel, then at me, and finally seemed to decide she was done being silent. "The cancellation request came from Mrs. Bennett's email yesterday at 6:18 p.m., she said. It stated that the bride had admitted to financial misuse, and that the family was authorizing cancellation to prevent further loss. Daniel's father asked, "Did either named client confirm that?" "No," Melissa said. Mom lifted her chin. "I am her mother." Daniel's father answered, "She is not a child." That was the first crack everyone could hear. For the first time that day, people looked at my mother instead of me. Mom hated it. I saw it in her fingers tightening around the folder. She turned on me. "Are you proud of this? Making everyone question me after everything I've done for you?" A month earlier, I would have apologized just to make the room softer. Instead, I asked, What did you do for me? She stared. I said, name it. Marisa scoffed. Now she's interrogating her own mother. Daniel lifted his phone. Before anyone answers that, I have something to play. Marissa moved first. Not toward him. Toward my mother. That was how I knew she knew. Daniel, she said, suddenly sweet. This is a family matter. Don't let her pull you into drama. He looked at her. You called me last night. Marisa froze. Mom turned sharply. What? Daniel unlocked his phone. You told me not to marry her because she was unstable, selfish, and hiding things from me. You said she only cared about keeping property away from her family. Marissa raised her chin. I was trying to protect you. You also kept talking after you thought the call ended. The room changed. It did not get louder. It got still. Daniel pressed play. At first, Marissa's voice sounded polished and sad. I know this is painful, Daniel, but she has always been jealous of attention. Mom is only trying to stop you from being trapped. Then came a rustle, a beep, and a pause. The call had not disconnected. Marissa's voice came back lower, irritated, real. He sounded confused. Good. Keep pushing the money thing. If she has to defend herself in front of everyone, she'll panic. My mother's voice was faint in the background. And the apartment? Marissa laughed. Come on, Mom. Make her lose face first. Then she'll sign it over because she'll want the wedding story to go away. She always folds when people think she's selfish. No one moved. Even the staff stopped pretending not to listen. Mom reached for Daniel's phone. He stepped back. No. Marissa's face turned red. You recorded me? You recorded yourself, Daniel said. You didn't hang up. That sentence did more damage than any speech could have. Marissa looked at me with hate, not shame. You were never going to use that apartment, she snapped. It just sits there while I have to rebuild my life. Daniel's mother whispered. So this was about the apartment. Marissa realized what she had admitted and tried to pull it back. No, not just that. She changed the locks on me. Because you copied my key, I said. And let your ex sleep there after I told you he was not allowed in. My aunt finally looked at Marissa. You told us she threw you out for no reason. Marissa opened her mouth, then closed it. Mom switched tactics. Her hand went to her chest. I made a mistake because I was worried about both my daughters, she said. Maybe I handled it badly. But I did what had to be done. There it was. Not I did not do it. Not I misunderstood. I did what had to be done. The sentence that told the room this was intentional. Melissa cleared her throat. For the record, the reception space has not been released yet. We require final written confirmation from the named clients. The named clients are the bride and groom, not the bride's mother. Daniel's father nodded. Then the room stays booked. Mom said, You cannot ignore what she has done. Daniel's mother turned to her. What she has done? Carol, your daughter paid the vendors. Your other daughter admitted the plan was to pressure her into giving up her apartment. And you canceled our son's wedding without authorization. Mom went white. That is an ugly way to say it. It is an ugly thing to do, Daniel's mother said. Then she took out her phone and opened a group chat my mother had created that morning. I had not even known it existed. It was called Wedding Emergency. Mom had written, Please pray for us. We are dealing with betrayal from someone we loved and trusted. Marissa had written, I tried to warn everyone. She only cares about money and appearances. Relatives had replied with sad emojis, prayers, and messages like poor Daniel and, This is what happens when a girl is spoiled too much. Daniel's mother typed slowly. The wedding was not canceled by the bride or groom. Carol canceled vendors without authorization. The alleged missing wedding money was a photographer payment. We have heard Marissa admit the goal was to pressure the bride into signing over her apartment. Please stop repeating false claims. Then she attached a screenshot of Melissa's cancellation log and the short audio clip. Mom watched her do it. Don't, she said. Daniel's mother hit send. A few seconds later, phones started buzzing around the room. One after another. The lie was traveling backward. My cousin Leah wrote, Are you serious? Aunt Carol, did you really cancel it? Another cousin wrote, Marissa, what did you mean by make her lose face first? My aunt looked at me and said, I'm sorry. I should have called you before believing it. It was not a grand apology. It was better. It was a correction in the same room where they had cornered me. Marissa grabbed her purse. I'm not staying here to be attacked. Before she could leave, Melissa spoke again, softer this time. There may still be cancellation fees from some vendors because the notices went out after their deadlines. The email from Mrs. Bennett states she accepts responsibility for necessary cancellation fees to prevent further damage. Mom's head snapped toward her. I what? Melissa turned the tablet around. There it was in my mother's own words. I accept any necessary cancellation fees. That was the physical collapse of the plan. Not embarrassment. Responsibility. Her own email attached her to the damage she tried to put on me. I picked up the apartment transfer agreement. For 1 second, Mom looked hopeful, like maybe I was finally going to sign just to make it stop. Instead, I tore it in half. One clean tear down the middle, then another. I placed the pieces on the empty head table. That apartment is not payment for your lie, I said. Marissa pointed at me. See? Cold. Selfish. She would rather humiliate her own mother than help her sister. My aunt turned on her. No. You humiliated her. We helped because we believed you. That is on us. But do not pretend she caused this. Marissa left. Mom stayed because she still thought she could regain control by sounding wounded. But the next hour belonged to me and Daniel. Melissa called the vendors one by one with us sitting beside her. The florist could still deliver, but the arch would be smaller. The band had accepted another gig, but agreed to come late. The makeup team was furious until Melissa explained the cancellation had not come from me. The officiant said, on speaker, I thought something was off. The email did not sound like the bride. Mom stood 10 feet away, listening to the wedding rebuild itself without her. That was the second consequence. Loss of control. Vendors would not take her calls anymore. Daniel's parents would not include her in decisions. My aunt told her to stop speaking unless she was apologizing. Then my phone buzzed. Marissa texted from the parking lot. You're really going to ruin my life over an apartment you don't even live in? I screenshotted it, then I blocked her. Not because I wanted revenge. Because the next thing I did required quiet. I called the property manager for Unit 4B. I asked for the building access code to be changed, for Marissa's name to be removed from every note connected to the unit, and for a written confirmation that no one but me had permission to enter. Then I called a locksmith. Mom watched me. You don't have to punish everyone, she said. I looked at the torn transfer agreement. I'm not punishing everyone, I said. I'm protecting myself. The wedding happened the next day. Not perfectly. The flowers were smaller. The band arrived during dinner. 2 relatives stayed home, which was honestly a relief. My mother was invited only as a guest. She was not allowed in the getting ready room, not included in vendor calls, and not trusted with one key, code, envelope, payment, or instruction. She sat in the second row. I walked down the aisle with my grandmother's old apartment key tied inside my bouquet with a blue ribbon. Only Daniel knew it was there. When I reached him, he squeezed my hand once, not to calm me down, to remind me I was not standing alone anymore. Marissa did not attend. She posted that morning about being excluded for telling uncomfortable truths. Within 20 minutes, my cousin Leah commented with the audio clip. Marissa deleted the post. That was the third consequence. The false story could not live in public anymore. Every time she tried to revive it, the proof followed. A week after the wedding, my mother emailed me. Not texted. Emailed. I think she understood I wanted records now. She wrote that she had been under pressure, that Marissa was in a dark place, that she panicked, and that she never meant to destroy my wedding. Near the bottom, she wrote, I still believe your grandmother would have wanted you to help your sister. I stared at that line for a long time. Then I replied, Grandma helped me by giving me one place no one could take from me. I am keeping it. That was all. No argument. No invitation to debate a dead woman's wishes with the person who tried to erase them. Update, because people always ask what happened to the apartment. I still own it. The locks were changed. The access code was reset. The property file now says no one but me can enter Unit 4B. Marissa's name is nowhere on anything connected to it. Daniel and I did not move in right away. We kept our small rented place because we wanted our first year of marriage to feel like ours, not like a battlefield. But every Sunday, I go to the apartment. Sometimes I water the plants. Sometimes I sit on the floor because I still have not bought enough furniture. Sometimes I read Grandma's card. One door in this world that no one else can open. The torn transfer agreement is in a folder now, along with the cancellation email, the audio transcript, and the group chat corrections. I don't keep them because I want revenge. I keep them because my mother taught me something the day she emptied my wedding hall. Some people call your boundary selfish because it is the only door they cannot walk through. That folder was never just wedding paperwork. That apartment was never just an apartment. It was the first place in my life where my no stayed locked.